Greetings, everybody. David here, calling you from Mexico City on Sunday, April 27th, 5:40 p.m. local time. And I think this is my first live stream of 2025 because I can talk again. I put out a video and I retracted it. I have not been able to speak since last year, but we will see. But that's not why I'm doing the live stream. I'm doing the live stream because, as this video title says, it's the end of the world as we know it. And long story short, that happened a long time ago. And it really started to go downhill after 9/11, Patriot Act, NDAA, China joining the World Trade Organization before that. Just the dissolution of the United States as the ignorance of the people, not holding the politicians to adhere to the Constitution. And so now, as they say, comes home to roost, right? Now we have to pay the piper. And it's going to be a very, very difficult time. Well, what do we know? We know, what is it, 80% of people in the United States don't have $1,000 for an emergency? Couldn't come up with it. Today, a report came out that a majority of people, maybe not a majority, but a high percentage of people are now paying for their groceries on that pay-as-you-go, like a firm. So I know people who are donating their blood for gift cards to make ends meet. I should probably do that myself because when I donate blood, I have something in my blood that helps fight cancer, supposedly. So that's what they said. They wanted me to become one of these donors down at Mass General in Boston. But anyways, I just wanted to come out and I wanted to say that you need to ignore the media. The media is not your friends. Trump is not your friend. This ship is going down fast. And if you haven't done so already, you should make a list of any items that you use daily, weekly, monthly, things that you need, you know you're going to use. And you have either garage or a basement or an attic or storage in your house where you can put these items that don't go bad. Like, I'm not talking certain food items, but it could be oil for your car, could be kitty litter, cat food. A lot of these things almost everything's imported now. And so have a plan. If you're going to run out of kitty litter, what are you going to use? Newspapers, sawdust? I don't know. So that's really what I wanted to come on and say. There were two things that really were kind of tragic on, well, there's so many things. You know, I was talking with Dan maybe 2-3 years ago. Well, what was that? 2022, when Russia and Ukraine started their conflict. And Biden put the sanctions on Russia. And that was the beginning of that's when I think a lot of people started noticing around the world that the United States has become the evil empire. And I mean, it's been this way for a long time, but I think now it's pretty much, they have alternatives. They didn't have alternatives for decades. And so they had to do whatever the United States said. now you have alternatives. You have the BRICS, you have the European Union, and you have other alliances popping up. And you're going to see, I think fairly soon, you're going to start to see, quote unquote, U.S. allies. I think you're going to start to see them jumping ship, going to the other side, or at least leaving that open. Where I live in Mexico, I wrote about this in my book. I think that this will be, there'll be a huge, there's already, I can guarantee it, behind the scenes. If you know the history of Mexico, you'll know that Russia and the United States had some fierce battles down here using spies. And a lot of assassinations, a lot of deaths, murders, a lot of maneuvering behind the scenes for the last 80 years. And I think you're seeing that now with Russia and China and other countries as well. Mexico is definitely, in my opinion, the most important country for the United States if they want to maintain any degree of manufacturing capability. They're going to have to partner with somebody because it's not coming back to the United States, folks. I've been saying that for years. It's never coming back. Not until the perfect example of this is, I think it was 1991, Ross Perot, when he said, if they allow these jobs to leave, all you hear is this giant sucking sound. And those are the jobs leaving the country. And everybody just laughed at him. And everybody voted for Bush and Clinton. The ignorance of the U.S. citizen is at the pinnacle, unfortunately. And what that means is, in Ross Perot Justice, he goes, so I asked my experts, he said, how long would it take, what would it take for the jobs to come back to America? And the consensus was, when the price of the wages in those other countries comes up and ours goes down, it's like the level of water. And back then, he came up with a figure of $6 an hour. That's what it would take. So you'll see people now going to work in the United States at whatever factory or whatever job for $6 an hour. It'd be like in India, where in India, you're grateful to have a job, like a good job. And the competition in China is fierce, but the competition in India, I think, is even more fierce. And those people in India work themselves to the bone because they know that if they don't, there are 10 people right behind them who will do it gladly. And they're making probably a third, a quarter, a fifth of what people in the United States make. So I know people who've worked for Indian companies, and any American who works for an Indian company, it's a temporary setup. As soon as they can outsource you, you're gone. So, but okay, let's see. That's pretty much all I wanted to say. So if anybody has any questions, any comments, I will leave the link to join the conversation if you want to join. This will bring you on as a chat. Tom, how you doing, buddy? You have anything you want to add, Tom? So that link that's in the chat, that's a StreamYard link that will take you on to the call. If you just want to type in a question or a comment, you can just add it to the chat. No 2 cents. Okay. Tom, what do you think? Do you expect gold and silver to get pummeled, or do you think this is a head fake and it's going to go higher? I think it could go either way. I think any dips in gold and silver have to be bought tentatively. And if you don't have a position in gold and silver, I will. I have a video on my channel called "If You're Buying Precious Metals for the First Time." I think it's a very good video for anybody who's never bought precious metals before. Gives you an overview of what to look for and how to protect yourself so that you don't get ripped off. Everybody's different out there, but I strongly recommend get together with whoever's in your household and start look at your credit card bills, your receipts. What are you buying? And if you can buy a month, 2, 3, 6 months supply and have the space for it, worst case scenario, nothing goes bad and you've got 6 months. Yeah. Well, Tom, it's a good point, because that's something that people like, why are U.S. stocks going down? Why is this going down? Why is that going down in the markets? Well, think about it. The United States stock market is where a lot of foreign money has been going over the last 10 years. And as the U.S. dollar has weakened, they've been getting hit twice. Basically, foreigners have seen their NVIDIA shares going down, their Apple shares, whatever, SPY shares going down. And then when it converts back to their currency, it's the US dollar is lower, so they're getting double whammied. So you're seeing a lot of people saying, get me out of this now, because a lot of people are talking about the DXY, the dollar component of the DXY, going down to 70. If it breaks 98, it's going down to 70, a lot of them are saying. And if that happens, then the price of everything relative to the dollar, well, we'll see. It means you need that many more dollars to buy things. So, well, I can't talk very long tonight, so I've got to. I try not to talk right now. So, but unfortunately, I think in the United States, too many people still would rather watch the NFL or the NHL or the Major League Baseball or college sports instead of getting involved in these type of topics. And that's fine. It's going to be like the Titanic, and those people who ignored the warning signs, who ignored and kept singing and dancing, well, by the time they tried to go get to a lifeboat, all the lifeboats are gone, and they drowned. 70% of the people on the Titanic died. Yep, Venezuela is probably the latest, right? Yep, Tom said, remember what happened to the Venezuela currency? Yeah, it became toilet paper. And just look at the fluctuations. I'm down in Mexico, and the Mexican peso has been fluctuating wildly against the US dollar. And that type of instability tells you that there's a lot of uncertainty in the system. And when there's this much uncertainty, you have to hedge yourself. You have to protect yourself. If you have stocks, if you are not hedging them, then you're a fool. You're a fool. Okay? Because if you believe that, don't worry, if it goes down 20%, it will bounce back like it did in 2020, maybe it will. That's what a lot of people are doing. I was talking to, who was it? Well, this person's in their late 70s, and they have a considerable amount of their wealth in the stock market. They're crazy. Late 70s? If this thing drops, the NASDAQ, most people don't remember, but when 9/11 hit, the NASDAQ was down 80%. Then came 9/11, and it's been on a tear since then, as all the QE and the wars and the inflationary incentives pumped up the markets. And the hardest part is knowing when the music stops. But there's a saying that I like quite a bit. Two sayings, actually. Number one, you're better off be a day early than a day late, or even a year early rather than a day late. And the other one is, well, we won't get into the other one. But if you if you haven't protected yourself at all, then yeah, the world is changing, and one of these days, it's going to change dramatically. And I think it was Stalin who said, I think he's quoted with saying this, that sometimes you get a year's worth of events in a week, and sometimes you get a week's worth of events in a year. So you just never know when this is going to happen. And so, people in the United States, I'd say a majority of people are not used to standing on their own 2 feet anymore. And they're used to the government. And look at how that's worked out. Government's a disaster. Truly, disaster. But people, this is the thing I always laugh at. The government's a disaster, yet they expect more government. They want more government. And that's never going to change. It's the 600-pound fat guy. It's the heroin addict. They're never going to change until they collapse, and either they die or they almost die and they have an epiphany, and then they change their ways. But what do they say? I don't know. I think there's probably more people on that 600-pound fat guy show who have died than have actually turned their lives around. I was reading an article about that a year or two ago. And because your body can't take it. So, okay, well, I definitely see, well, the reason I think it's kind of common is because I see all these quote unquote professionals online, traders, who are now saying, go all in, go all in. The bottom's in, the bottom's in, buy the dip. And I see that with stocks, and I see it with housing. And do yourself a favor and look at what happened in 1929. And a lot of people had the buy the dip mentality then, and they were wiped out, literally bankrupted, gonzo, never recovered. And I would say size yourself accordingly. Right now, I think Warren Buffett is he nailed it. Everybody was laughing at him about 6 months to a year ago when he went to, I think his portfolio is 50 to 80% cash now, something ridiculous amount of cash. And he's collecting the 4% on the government bonds, short term. You buy the 1, 3, 6 month, collect the 4%, guaranteed, no risk, unless the government falls apart. Have cash, have some precious metals, definitely have some food, water. Anything, like I said, you need food and water to survive, so you should have a supply. Really? Everybody in New Hampshire is talking about the market, Tom? Interesting. What are they saying? Well, I see all these people now saying they've been pumping this Tesla. Tesla, the NVIDIA pumpers are back. Who else? Oh, MicroStrategy, Bitcoin. It's possible that these things could get pumped up. it's possible. I mean, because they have as long as they have the liquidity to do that, they'll do it. But at some point, like I said, it's going to be like this. And I've been saying for years, it's going to be a Sunday night, Monday morning. It's going to be a Sunday night, Monday morning, where probably over in Asia, Japan will blow up, Hong Kong will blow up, China will blow up, and then it will spread. Then it will go to Europe, and then the U.S. markets will open up, limit down, and that will be the start. And it will be too late. You won't be able to maneuver. You waited too long. So just, you've been warned. And you don't even have to do anything drastic. Hedging your positions is not hard to do. And if you don't know how to do it, you better find out. There's this guy I saw on Twitter. He's been a Tesla shareholder for a long, long time. Rode it all the way up. And he just sold out. And he's getting chastised because they're like, why did you sell now? Why didn't you sell when the thing was at 400 a few months ago? Well, that's what happens. And that's what's happening with housing right now. People are like, what's going on with housing? I've done this analysis. This is what happens with all of this stuff. Goes up to the top. Okay. There's a blip, starts to come down a little bit. And then people who want to sell, they refuse to sell unless they get the top price. So whether it's a house at the top price or Tesla at $400, they refuse to sell. They see the danger, but they're like, nope, not selling until I get my price. Not selling until I get my price. And then what happens is it's going to be layoffs. We're about to enter huge layoffs where people just start getting wiped out. And when that happens, people don't have cash. They're going to basically, you can't hide from this anymore. So they're going to have to sell their house, and houses aren't selling at these prices. So the ones who have to sell it, they'll reduce their price 10%. And then that won't be enough. The next guy will go, I got to get out. I'll reduce it 20, then 30, then 40. And if you were up there waiting, and all of a sudden, within the matter of a month, it's down 30%. Too bad. You snooze, you lose. Too bad, so sad for you. You got greedy. You were a pig. And so the guy who sold his Tesla, yeah, it would have been ideal for him to have been smart enough to sell at the $400 mark. But in his analysis, he sees where this is going. And in his opinion, there's more downside than upside. So he's up $1 million. So why risk that? So he sold. Tough problem to have. Let's see. Sorry, Tom, I was too busy talking. Yeah, 401k is doing great. Yeah, that's those are paper gains, right? Till you actualize them, they're paper gains. Who's David Wilkerson? I'm going to have to look him up. The Meister away, is he in the house? I don't think so. I think he's making some chicken parmesan. Save it for me. Yeah. I remember I went with some, I was working for this company, and we went to this Italian restaurant, and they had an Italian parmesan as a special. So I ordered it. And the people who own the company, they were chastising me, saying, do you know that that's not even a real Italian dish? I said, then why is it on their menu? Why were they recommending it to me? It was good. I ate it. It was delicious. Which is, if I'm going to eat something, if it's nutritious and it tastes good, well, he wrote the cross and the switchblade. I've seen his name. I'll have to look him up, Tom. So, Tom, let me ask you I mean, this is me and Dan have been talking about this for years. And then Greg and Tim on Silver Liberties, I was going to talk to them about this. I'll probably talk to them next week. But they think it's already underway. And obviously, I've talked to Jim Willey about this as well. Knowing when this happens, nobody knows. Well, some people, who knows? Trump's cabinet or Biden's cabinet or whoever is in power, they will notify their friends in Wall Street and the banksters before we know. And we'll find out after the fact, oh, wow, before the planes hit the Twin Towers, there were all these puts on airlines. Just like last week, all these puts on the QQQs or the calls on certain days. People knew in advance. The criminals are in complete control. Absolutely. And they're not looking out for us. So. Okay. Yeah, I watched a movie last night called The Hired Hand, a Peter Fonda movie from 1970, I think. And boy, movies were very different back then. Very different. Hey, Tom, you have a great Sunday. Everybody else, if you're listening, have a great Sunday. If nobody has anything to add, anything to comment on, no questions, no feedback, nobody wants to join the call, then I am done here. I'm going to go out and enjoy the rest of this beautiful afternoon. Already got my steps in, but it's so gorgeous here. Hopefully you guys can see some of the videos I'm producing. This is the time of year, end of March, beginning of April, best time of year in Mexico City because you have the jacaranda, the purple flowers are blooming, and I'll tell you, it's just so spectacular. All right, Kick and Gravel, good to see you. What's DR planning, Tom? DR. Yeah. Well, disaster recovery. Well, you'll definitely have a gig after this. Yeah, well, watch out. Japan is opening right now. They're open either right now or they open in 1 hour. Let me see what Japan's doing right now, their market. In 225. The Nikkei. They are it's just opening, I think. Just opening soon. Nothing yet. Let me see Hong Kong. Let me check gold and silver. And oil. See what gold and silver and oil are doing. Yeah, Hong Kong, nothing there yet. It's saying gold is up $40. I don't know if that's accurate or not. Let me look. Yeah, it says gold. We'll see. The opening, I never trust the opens. Yeah, I don't know. Also, I want to say one other thing. I'm short on. Well, I'm not going to get into my portfolio, but let me just say, one of the things I've been following is the Dow Jones Transport, and it's like this. And JB Hunt came in. Their stock basically dropped after their earnings. SAIA, which is a trucking company, They dropped over $100 on Friday after they reported. Another one is XPO. They report on the 30th. Now, XPO, I don't know this for a fact, but they're like a Palantir that they get this. They're involved in money laundering, no doubt about it. Pump and dump scheme, money laundering, government contracts, the USAID, whatever you want to call it. And I'm curious to see if they're going to, with all these other freight carriers, it'll be interesting to see if XPO crashes or if they're pumped. Because freight is definitely falling off a cliff. I follow this guy on Twitter called, I think, Freight Alleys, and he tracks all the different freight. And that's something that's happening. A lot of the shippers, it takes approximately 30 days for a boat to come from China to the United States, 30 to 45 days, depending where it's landing. And a lot of these boats are coming empty. And so what they're saying is this tariff stuff could end tomorrow. But if it does, it's going to take 30 to 45 days for the system to fill back up. Because right now, all these companies have been canceling all their orders. So all these boats are coming over with nothing. It means that a store like Home Depot, Walmart, all these Chinese buyers of companies or products, they front-loaded a lot of products like they do for Christmas. So when that runs out, we'll see. I mean, some of these companies, some of these stores, these retailers, some of them are pretty good at knowing what they have to have in stock. And some of them end up not being so good. And so that's why I started out by saying if there's anything that you use, you might as well get it now, instead of taking the chance that the price could go up 50% because they don't have the product and they're going to basically raise the price of the product they have left, or it ends up being one of these items that gets left off the rebuy list and ends up being something you can't get without paying a premium. Like medicines. For those people who have to have certain medicines, find out where the damn thing's made. If it's made in China, of course, I don't know if these pharmaceutical companies are going to be on it. Toilet paper, yeah, I mean, you can always use your hand, right, Tom? If you had to. Yeah, just clean your hand. Like they do in India. Don't eat with your left hand. Yeah. I know somebody went to India and they started using both hands to eat, and people around them were just stopping. And finally somebody came up and said, hey, you can't do that here. And of course, strongly recommend that turn to God for prayer, and whatever faith you are, I believe in Jesus Christ, so that's who I pray to, and I just try to ask for strength and guidance, because it's impossible to know what's going to happen, and hopefully we just are able to ride through it, have the strength to get through whatever comes. My mother always used to say, God won't give us a cross we can't carry. I hope that's true. You went to India, Tom? Interesting. Yeah, you'll have to tell me more about your India trip. Wow. Yeah, my nephew was over there for 3 or 4 weeks, and he wrote a short book on it. And I told him he should go into comedy. I haven't laughed so hard. Him and his brother went. They ended up getting scammed. They ended up getting food poisoning, dysentery. They're in the hospital getting IV drips. I mean, it was hilarious. I mean, I'm glad they didn't die or get really sick. But It was like one event after another. I can tell you, India used to be on my list, but when I went to Manila in the Philippines, the people in the Philippines are very nice, but I found it overwhelmingly devastating how horrendous the living conditions were in Manila. Garbage everywhere, people just accepting living in squalor. And people are telling me India's worse. As bad as parts of Mexico are, it's not that bad. And I don't want to be around that. It's too depressing. So, yeah, I don't think I could do India. It's no longer on my list. Even China, when I was going to China back in 2007, I mean, it was, you get outside the cities, I mean, it was bad. It was bad. But it wasn't as bad as some of these places in Manila were. Yeah, it was terrible. Yep. And I don't know why, you can say, well, people are too poor. That's how they have to live. I don't know, man. I think that's where you got to get together as a community and say, hey, let's not put all our shit here. Hey, let's not put all our garbage here. Let's all work together on this. And for whatever reason, those societies don't do that. And I'm wondering if our society is ever going to get to the point where we break down like that. Yeah. Okay. All right. Last call for alcohol here. Any comments, questions, or where do you guys think things are going? How much time do you think we have? Any input at all? I've been saying on this channel for, I don't know how many years, Tom, have I been recommending that people buy silver and gold? I don't even know. 7 years? I've been pushing it. And if you don't hold it, you don't own it. So if you own GLD or SLV, or I know people who have their gold and silver stored by some company that they've never even visited. Well, I don't know. I made that mistake once with my crypto. So, and I got shafted on that. I won't make that mistake again. And I had it set up. Man, I had it set up. That's the other thing. Listen to your instincts. My instincts were telling me when I had a bunch of crypto on Celsius, and I had a Patreon with this guy who the guy was like a gold. The guy made some great calls, but I don't know what happened. But then all his calls went to shit, and he had the Ukrainian guy on there. I forget his name, from Celsius. He had him on twice, and the guy lied right through his teeth. And my gut was telling me, this guy's a liar. But because this guy who I subscribed to on Patreon said, oh, I believe him, I'm going to do that, I'll let you guys know, is I decided to listen to this guy instead of myself. And I ended up paying for that with real money. And I won't make that mistake again. In fact, that changed. Now it changes. It kind of stinks because now I'll be in positions and I'll be up and I'll look at the exit where I want to exit. And let's say I have a target of $100. And when it gets to like $50, $60, $70, a lot of times I'm taking it off. I'm taking the profits, especially in this type of market we've had where it's choppy, because I just don't trust it anymore. In fact, this happened. I still have the shorts on Tesla, and I had like 30 or 40 shorts on Tesla contracts, and I closed out 10 or 15 of them right before their earnings. And I was trying to close it a couple more, and They weren't giving me the price I wanted. So I went into earnings, and we'll see. We'll see. I think there's a chance Tesla could drop back this week. I'm not sure it's going to help me, but I think it could. DJI. Yeah, the kick and gravel. That's that's something that the United States markets have been rewarded since 9/11 to buy the dips and to not sell. And that's why it's very difficult to believe that this time will be different. Because if anybody sold in March 2020 when they went down 20, 30%, and they watched it bounce up without them, they're thinking, wow, I'm not going to make that mistake again. And the other thing you have people doing is you have, like the statistics I don't remember, but over the last 2 weeks, the amount of retail buying has been astronomical. It's been the retail who's been buying. And so, they call that dumb money. Doesn't mean it's all dumb money. It doesn't mean it's always wrong, but it's, yeah, we'll see. We will see. Definitely makes trading interesting. And still, I think that, I think if you have profits, I know how much it hurts when you sell something and it continues higher without you. And there are ways you can hedge your position so that you can protect the downside. There are a variety of ways to do it. But I would say this is not the time to get greedy. And I think you have to be more fearful than greedy right now. Yeah, Tom. And that's happening because when a stock goes up or a stock goes down, and then you see it consolidating, that's that battle going on like right there. That's usually the insider selling to the dumb money, like you said, Tom. Yeah, to the retail. So let me just see if anything's going on with the U.S. dollar tonight. Nothing yet. Yeah, the U.S. dollar, the Mexican peso was up to 21 pesos for a dollar at April 8th. And less than 3 weeks later, it's down to 19.5. So you're talking 8-9% drop. That's how volatile this thing is. And I don't see that going back to normal. So, all right, folks. Peace. Have a great Sunday. I'm going to end it here because I don't see anybody coming in. Good night, Tom. Talk to you during the week. Good night, everybody. Happy Sunday.